Hey guys, what's up? This is RennyX here. I am bringing you my Magplar PvP build for CP campaigns for the Morrowind update. I have made some changes to my gear, and you'll see that coming up shortly. And I also have a alternate setup which I use for non-CP campaigns and also will use in Battlegrounds, and I'll touch on that as well towards the end of the video. So we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll start in the character sheet. So I have 64 points into Magicka, of course. I am a stage 4 vampire. That obviously helps with regen, and then also for speed and stealth. I have my Mundus Stone as the thief, which is the spell critical. And my food that I run all the time is Witch Mother's Potent Brew, so increased Magicka recovery, max Magicka, and max health. We'll go ahead and move into the champion points. And we'll start in the red tree. So I have 9 points in Ironclad. The thing to remember in the update is the same as it was before, but these jump points have changed, so you don't want to have anything over than the minimum of that point. So 4.32 is the lowest to get 4%, but if you have like 4.7, that is not going to calculate. The 0.7, 0.9, any of that won't calculate. It's going to be 4%, so always round that down. So I have 66 into Resistant as well, which is nice to get the Resilient passive as well, and then you have the Reinforced passive with having 120 points in there. So I have 43 in Hardy and 49 into Elemental Defender and 20 into Thick Skin to get a 12% reduction in damage over time. For Hardy and Elemental Defender, it's just your preference on what you prefer. I like to be a little bit, I like to reduce more damage from magic because they are typically ranged, and being a melee build, I like to have just a little bit more damage reduction until I get into melee range, being a melee Magplar. So I like to just run it with a little bit less in Hardy and a little bit more in Elemental Defender. Obviously, you'll also get the Unchained passive, which is nice to have as well, having 120 points into the warrior tree here. And when you use your break free, the cost of your next stamina ability within 5 seconds is reduced by 80%. So typically, you want to break free, and then you can do a dodge roll, which will not cost much at all at that point when you're dodge rolling after a break free. I have 15 into Quick Recovery. That'll get you 4% of increased healing. And they have changed the tree, so there's a 15%, a 25%, and a 35% for your maxes if you had 100 points into that star. Recovery or Quick Recovery is one of the ones which is a 15%, so you do not get a lot for your points. So I like to just get enough for the field physician. On my green tree, I have 37 into Siphoner, and then I have 35 into Warlord. Anything that's going to help your stamina in the Morrowind update is super beneficial, especially for a magic build. 75 into Arcanist. You do not want to go over 75 because you don't get any bonus until you get to 100, which is just that extra 1% to get to 15%. So 75 points into there. 21 into Shade, 21 into Shadow, and 21 into Tumbling. And you'll see that those are at their jump points as well. So 9%, 9%, and 13%. We'll go ahead and get into the blue tree now. I have 19 into Blessed. I typically don't run full 19 into Blessed, but I did want to get the Arcane Well at 124 points. It would just be at 120, but 56 into Spell Erosion and 49 into Elemental Expert. Bless gives me 5% more healing done. You could lower that a little bit down to like 4% and then put some more into Spell Erosion or Elemental Expert, but still recommend getting the 120. The Arcane Well is nice, and another 3900 Magicka when enemy dies within 2.5 meters. Being a melee build, a lot of times the enemies will die within your range, so really nice to grant that to you and then up to 3 of your teammates. Master at Arms, 9% increased direct damage done. The only thing that we deal damage with that's direct is the Purifying Light. The Total Dark has a little bit of damage on it, which is a direct damage, but Purifying Light is really our only direct damage skill that we use. So we have a lot into Thaumaturge, so we have 66 points into Thaume. That'll give us 22% increased damage done. So that'll be for our sweeps, for our Radiant, our Reflective Light, and our Entropy are all damage over time. Also, it'll buff our Ritual Retribution, so a lot of damage out of overtime effects with our use of Scoria, but really nice to have 22% into there. I wouldn't recommend any less, really. Next, we'll go ahead and get into our inventory, to our gear. I'll start with the slottables that I use. So as you saw, I do use the Witch Mother's Potent Brew for the food, as I mentioned earlier, so Magicka Health and Magicka Recovery. The other slottables that I'll use is Tripots, so Magicka Stam Health, and then Magicka Health Immovability Pots, and then Trash Pots if needed, but generally I'll just stick with the Immovability or the Tripots there. So I have still my 2 Torix Pack Swords sharpened, both of them gold, for the extra spell damage on the front bar. I have one with Oblivion damage and one with a weapon damage glyph. On the back I have a 2-piece defending sword and a Impen shield of Transmutation, Crusher enchant on the sword, and Magicka enchant on the shield. That'll give me 2 extra magic recovery, so a little bit higher recovery on the back bar. I have a Scoria Helm, heavy, infused. I would like that to be Impen, but infused is good as well, so I do have that there. We're running 5 heavy, 1 medium, and 1 light. So on the chest as well, that's going to be heavy Julianos. I have a heavy Impen shoulder, a light sash, a medium Julianos hands, heavy legs, and heavy feet. Everything will be Magicka enchanted. I did change the jewelry from Transmutation to Willpower. I get a little bit more damage out of it, actually a little bit better recovery, and I don't need the extra crit bonuses, so I am running Arcane Willpower jewelry, 2 Magicka recovery glyphs, and 1 spell damage glyph. You could change one on recovery off for a reduced cost, but I've really not ran into any sort of issues with having Magicka recovery. I don't typically have resource issues at all in CP campaigns. You could go ahead and run some robust jewelry if you really needed some extra stamina. I will from time to time do that. If I'm running solo, I like to have a little bit more stamina, so I'll just take a little bit of hit on my Magicka pool and get a little bit more stamina back. I'll typically run like 2 pieces robust if I do make a change. Otherwise, I set about 10k for my stamina. Alright, so we'll go ahead and buff up, just get our channel down and our ritual down, and pop a potion. 38k Magicka on the back bar, 25k health, and 2000 Magicka recovery. The crit is at 39%, which is good for heals. 3200 critical damage resistance. Critical resistance on the front bar, 2950, 39.6k Magicka, 18.5 for Magicka recovery, and just slightly lower health. You'll see that I didn't have any Alliance War buffs at all in this campaign currently. I'll go ahead and buff up and I'll show you my spell damage. So what you'll do is you hit him with your Entropy to get your Major, hit him with a Dawn's Wrath ability to get your Minor, and then with a weapon, the spell damage at 3366 and 49% crit, so it's really nice. Alright, we'll finish up with the skills. So Channel Focus, that'll give you Magicka recovery and also give you your major resistances. Total Dark, it gives that sphere around them 4.6 seconds. They cannot break free, so anything they cast comes back on them. Structured Entropy, 8% max health, major spell damage, and a dot, of course. Honor the Dead, the opposite morph of Breath of Life, so it gives you a little bit better heal for yourself. And we have our Ritual Retribution. This is a heal over time. This is how you would proc your Transmutation if you went 5 on the back bar for Battlegrounds. And that is the only change I make for NonCP. That is just Transmutation Jewelry. Shooting Star, and you could go with that on your back bar as well, just to get that more max Magicka, but I don't cast anything from my back bar. Shooting Star on the front bar as well. Purifying Light is my second skill on my front bar. Copy damage, of course. Have your spell crit and max Magicka from your inner light. Radiant Impression for your execute. We go with Reflective Light for the front bar as well. And that'll give you your minor spell damage casting that. Puncturing Sweeps. And that's going to be your main damage dealer, of course, and your heal. So I appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe, and hit me up with any questions. RennyX on Xbox Live. Peace out. Alright, so I wanted to link a little bit of the spilled in action on the video. This is just something from today, something quick that I had. I didn't get to play much today at all. So I just wanted to just throw it out. It's not like some big 1vx, but just a few one-on-one kills in a row. We were in a pretty bad spot. Pretty sketchy, deep in yellow, and obviously there's a ton of yellow you'll see just like pouring out of the keep. Most of them are going opposite ways. In this video, you know, constantly kind of running into stamina issues. This is a time where, like I mentioned earlier, I would probably prefer to have some willpower jewelry on just to have a little extra stamina. So put dots down on that first Sork, took care of him. Packed him up pretty quick. This next one, 413 CP. He's kind of messing up on his rotation a bit, so he could be putting some more pressure on me, but he's not. And then he tries to restun me there, but I already had CC immunity at that point, so he was a little early on that. This guy from behind sitting there just heavy attacking me, just kind of get in the way. So I just have to try to get out of his way to get this other dude down. And then Blunt Ghost comes back, who was the first guy that I killed and finishes me off.